They call it patriotism, but we call it what it is: pure, unfiltered bullshit. Welcome to Bluebird on your shoulder, where we cut through the MAGA madness with brutal honesty and zero apologies. No sugarcoating, no fake civility, just three guys, middle-aged and pissed off, breaking down the absurdity of right-wing delusion one episode at a time. If you think America deserves better than conspiracy theories and cult worship, you're in the right place. Liberal? Hell yes. Woke? Not a chance. We're here to roast the madness, expose the lies, and call out the grift. Because the only thing worse than MAGA's nonsense is pretending it makes sense. New episodes every week. Buckle up.
What's up, everybody? We're back. It's Bluebird on your shoulder. Still just the two of us, just a different two this week. I'm laid up in bed, struggling through work, back injury, fun stuff. Not really. Ryan's at the boys' baseball game. So here we are.
Oh, I'm working.
Relatively quiet week in the sense of Trump world, but lots of little things. So screen name of mine this week is on off is in relevance to tariffs and the stock market. And Josh, I know yours is no tip tax is relevant to the OBA, we will call it, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
Yeah. Well, and didn't Schumer get it changed to something else, to something equally as stupid?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically the reason that I named myself that this week is because we're seeing a lot of what the interpretations of the BBB actually are, and what's actually in it, what it's going to look like in real life, instead of just a bunch of conjecture.
Right.
The no tip tax especially has been one where me and Ryan talked about it. We were really hoping that we were going to see some good things come out of this thing. It was a big turd, but we were hoping to find some diamonds in there somewhere. And the more that we're looking, the more that we're seeing that the things that they were getting a lot of support for, and a lot of talking points on, are hollow.
Right.
When it comes to the no tax on tips, it's only for cash tips. And it's only if you itemize. So people that use the standard deduction aren't going to be able to benefit from this, and that is 90% of taxed employees. The ones that aren't, the itemization of they're gonna see they can get a small bump, but cash tips really only makes up, like, what, 10% of a person's total taxed tipped income anymore. Because
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different than 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, when we
right.
were all in that world, and, credit cards and debit
Yeah,
cards were virtually a new thing. We
right.
got lots of our tips in cash, and
Yep.
now it is absolutely the opposite.
Yep.
And I believe in that, if I read it right, is the no tax on the tip is only for the first 25,000.
Right. Well, and again, how many tipped employees are making $25,000 in cash tips? So, I mean,
Or reporting that much, because as we all know,
well, if they can report it without getting taxed on it, it's worth doing, because at that point it
well, yeah,
establishes your DTI, your debt to income ratio, higher, so that you can actually pull credit on
true.
a lot more
Yeah,
items, like being able to buy a house, being able to buy a car with a lower interest rate. So
right.
in theory, it could have been a really good thing for people that are dependent on others' charity, which I disagree with as a principle,
Right.
in the economy. But if we could have seen some benefit, that would have been cool. But the more that we're looking at it, the more we're realizing that this just isn't going to help anybody. If anything, it's basically just a wash. So
It
it's not
so
really gonna.
I think essentially what it boils down to on that is you're 100% right with the interest rates and things that you get with having a better DTI, credit score, all that is going to help the people that are in that industry doing that be able to do that for sure. But what it's not going to help is most of the people, at least in my experience in that industry, aren't they're not educated enough to know that you can itemize
Right.
or just do the standard. Like they just go fill out their little the 1040 easy,
Yeah.
and they're done with their taxes in 5 minutes. So I think
Well,
what's going to
and
happen
here's
is it's going to screw a lot of them because they're going to start claiming those, thinking, "Oh, no
right.
tax on my tips. I'm going to do this," and then they file wrong, and then they're going to owe $5,000.
Or they're gonna get, they're gonna get there and they're gonna be like, hey, I'm a tipped employee, I'm gonna save a bunch of money. Or a lot of them think that they're not being tipped on it, so they don't even realize that they're still being taxed the same amount at the end.
Right.
So then they're gonna see like a little bump because of other things like salt and things like that. And that is a real benefit for some people, but for the general the for what 60% of people that take the standard deduction because they don't make enough to justify filing a different way, it's not going to benefit them.
Yeah.
And
All,
so
and all it essentially is okay, we put this in here and portrayed it to everyone like this so that he can say he helped the middle
right.
class.
Right. Exactly right. And that's all he's really looking for is he
Right.
wants to be elevated. He wants to feel good about himself because everybody's, oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yep.
Um, you know, and that
I
makes him
don't.
feel good. But, when it comes to the last year, he doesn't care. Like that's why a lot of these things don't go into effect until after the midterms because they want to try to minimize the damage that they take in the midterms
Right.
and then pass that along because they pretty much know that they're going to lose the next cycle as far as the executive branch goes. So typically that's the way that it swings. They're planning for that, and that's why the damages to the middle class happen after the midterms, because it'll come at people will realize how bad they're hurting right when the next Democrat takes over, and then they're
And then
gonna
they'll
sit
blame
there
it on
and
the Democrat.
exactly right. Yep. So,
Yep.
that's how they keep gaining this power is that they've effectively done that over and over and over again. Since Bush, when Obama, took over and they
Got the
saw how
bailouts and
well that
everything. Yeah.
played, they were like, all right, that's what we're gonna do from now on.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
and
because
so
I mean that man inherited a whole big pile of White House bullshit
exactly
to
right.
clean up, and they wanted him to clean it up in the first month.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though he walked in with a pile of shit on his desk
Right.
in the form of the tax or the bailout for the banks. That
Right.
was already sitting on his desk when he got there,
Yep.
and he didn't even have a chance to get it retooled or anything. And so he passed it, and he was like, this is the best that I can get done right now, even though I understand that this isn't great. And then when we realized how bad it was because of what the banks did with that money. It was a big stain on his first term, but he was able to help out a lot with the car industry bailout, which got
Yeah.
fully repaid plus some, and it restabilized the economy. And
Yep.
the even though he had consistent build back all the way up to the 2016 election, you know, Hillary just was a bad candidate, so they
Yeah.
couldn't overcome the popularity of Trump because of the fear mongering surrounding, the color of Obama's skin. But
Yeah.
anyways, so yeah, like we do have the car loan interest. So me and Ryan talked about this. It sounded like when you bought a new car, you were going to get a $10,000 deduction for the loan interest, but it looks like it's more like 10,000 a year. So as long as the vehicle was built in the U.S. So your car plants here in the U.S. are going to benefit from that.
Does it have to be an American car though? Because
No, it just
we've
has to
got
be assembled in
Toyota
the
in
U.S.
southern Indiana.
Yeah, no, with Toyota, Nissan, all of those are assembled here in the United States, and they'll all qualify. So that is a job stabilizer and it's a lucrative job stabilizer for Americans. So
Yeah.
that's good. That's a good one. The deduction phases out between 100K and 150K, and between 200K and 250 if you file jointly. So there are some requirements, but for the everyday American, that should help out a lot of people. Um,
Yeah, but the everyday American's not buying a brand new car.
well, I mean, the your middle class, I understand that 60% of America fall into the lower middle class to poor, but for the working class and for the everyday American, um, and this does not say it has to be a new car. That's
Oh,
what that's what Ryan thought it was, but this just says car buyers could deduct up to $10,000 annually in a car loan interest payments. So like with your mortgage payment or with your mortgage interest statement every year, you get something showing that
yeah.
what you're paying each
Yep.
in interest, and you can deduct that. So this is going to be something like that. So you're
Okay. So it's not just a hey, here's $10,000 off because you bought a new car.
No, 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 no. This is
It's
this is
on
an
like
interest
how
payment
you pay
deduction.
your student loan interest and
Yeah. Yep.
your mortgage
Mortgage.
interest.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
that
So it just reduces your tax burden a little bit.
that's nice.
Yeah. So that one's a good one. Through 2028, each person over 65 can deduct an extra $6,000. So, for the people that are going to die in the next 2 years, that's not bad. Um,
Or sooner because they're not going to have Medicaid.
Right, right. Well, actually, I think that the big cuts to medical and food programs doesn't happen until 2028 as well. So
So he's
again,
just
this
literally
this
leaving a
was
big
all
pile of shit for
designed.
the next president.
Yes, this was all designed for the next presidential run. So DeSantis has this election to lose at this point, unless the Democrats can get their shit together
I
and
don't
bring
know if it'll be
bring
him.
forward a
I think
real
it'll be
candidate.
I think from what I'm seeing is I've seen articles on both sides for top candidates because here in just a few months they're going to start, it's going to be political season for midterms,
Yeah,
and shortly after that it'll be political season again for 28.
right.
And they're already, so what I saw was on the good guys side was Newsom, Buttigieg, and Kamala were the top three.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That none of those sound like winners to me.
and
I,
all
I love Buttigieg and Kamala, whatever. Like, she's got some potential. I just don't think that she was groomed properly for it. Um, I love Buttigieg. I just don't think that Americans will vote for him. I would vote for him. I've told him that. But unfortunately, America just isn't quite there yet. And
yeah,
as far as
well,
Newsom goes, he's as slick as freaking most Republicans are. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And on the other side, the only thing I've seen so far, and it's probably because he'd be the incumbent VP, is Vance. I have
Blah,
not
blah.
I have not seen
He's too
another
dumb.
name yet.
And they know it. No, I think when Trump went down there and played nice with uh jeez, I just said his name. Um
DeSantis.
yeah, DeSantis, thank you. When he went down there and played nice with DeSantis, I think that was teeing him up. So
Yeah, I mean, I personally wanted DeSantis to be the representative on that side this past election.
well, yeah, he would have been easier to beat.
Yeah, but
he
had he won, I would have rather had him than Trump.
I don't know. He's me and Ryan talked about this last week as well. He's scary. Mostly because he's effective.
Right.
You know, so and he's part of the evangelical right, you know. He's got some extreme
He
views,
does.
and given a SCOTUS and a Congress that will, you know, push that agenda even farther, he would be more effective at enacting Project 2025 than Trump is. And look at what Trump's already been able to do.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's truly like this, because he wasn't really like this until Trump was in office, and then he took the ball and ran with it. So I
Right.
think, like Pence, he could be just a regular old Republican once Trump's out of the picture.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I think we will see a little more come back to reality once the MAGA shit is gone.
That's you're
I
pretty
guess I'm
hopeful there.
hoping.
Yeah.
Hard telling at this point, because they are definitely 10 toes down.
Yeah. I mean, it's scary, you know, that because you know, even now, like a friend of mine was talking about, like, I'm not seeing as many Trump flags out and about. Like, people aren't as boisterous about this anymore. What's going on with you guys over there? But they still come out in droves to say, "Oh, shut up! It's just because he won, and we're not sycophants." Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So now they're like trying to, you know, again, it's, you know, every accusation is a confession, and it's all, I know you are, but what am I? You know,
Yep.
so anything that they hear you saying about them and the attributes that they're showing you, they're then going to use against you.
Yeah.
And then anything that's about to come out about them, they're going to accuse you of. So
Yep. Yep.
So they did reduce the amount of defense budget increase, um, down to only 153 billion dollars in extra spending
And that
a
was
year.
down from what, the 350 or
400,
400?
yeah, yeah. So they cut that in half, but that's still an increase in spending with a reduction in force.
Right.
So they're still pushing billions of dollars into the private sector for weapons development um, and defense contract spending, which doesn't make us any more safe. You know, we don't need any more bombs. We just need
No.
half of the amount that we're making, you know?
How is it a reduction in force, though? Because I just saw today that so far this year, recruitment for the military is up 16%.
No, re no, their goals are up by 16%. So they reduced the goal, so now they're showing an increase in joining. So
Okay,
they
that makes
reduced
sense.
it, and now they're showing an increase, and their goal is smaller because they are reducing the size of the amount of troops that we have. So yeah, that's a skewed number.
Yeah, but I mean, in all reality, the way things are fought these days, was especially with the drones being used, do we need that many boots on the ground?
So, so here's the thing: you need boots to hold ground. Um,
Fair.
so the reason that we lose so few troops is because we send enough in to get the job done with an overwhelming force comparatively to who we're fighting.
Right.
Now, if we go up against China, yeah, those bombs are going to be really beneficial,
Right.
when it comes to holding ground, because they have a lot more people to hold ground with. We
I'll say,
won't
what do
be
they
able to
got? Like
fight them.
a 6-1 or something like that?
After they're done reducing our troop strength by 20%, it's going to be like 10-1.
Yeah.
So, so no matter how many drones we have, we're never going to be able to overcome that. And yes, while I agree we don't need more troops, we also don't need more bombs.
Right.
So, to reduce the troop strength but increase our budget, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So especially when we're supposed to be in a peacetime rotation, where we should be spending more money in aid um and goodwill than we are in making bombs, and so that we don't have to use troops.
Right.
So
Yeah. So speaking of bombs, I did see something that I want to bring up because it's kind of, I think I might have said this to one of you guys or maybe in general conversation with someone, is I know how everyone felt a couple of weeks ago when we dropped bombs on Iran.
mhm.
And we talked about it before it happened, that, this could be the kickstart to WW3. And everybody's upset and all up in arms of, he's supposed to be the peace president, yet he's dropping bombs. Well, we've all been around. We're all in our mid 40s, and every president in our lifetime has bombed one country, if not more, during their term.
Mhm.
So I guess I just don't really see what the big deal about it is because it's just coming off to me as one of those like tit for tat things that they do. Like, we got all up in arms because it was him, but we didn't say shit when Obama did it to like 6 countries.
Well, so there's some differences. Number one, those countries mostly approved Obama sending drone strikes into those countries. Okay, those that didn't we weren't we weren't attacking those countries specifically, and they weren't and we were attacking organizations that were terrorist organizations. Now, Iran is a sovereign nation.
Right.
Okay, they have every right to have nuclear science.
Yeah.
Okay, so and that's all that any watchdog group is saying that they have. Now they
Yeah.
are enriching to a higher degree than what they need. Okay, because they're enriching all the way up to 60%, but they need up to um, shoot, I 80%. I might be off there. But they need a much higher enrichment in order to be able to create a nuke. At 60%, yeah, they could probably create a dirty bomb or something like that. But
Right.
there are no indications that Iran wants to fire nukes. The only reason that we don't want them to have it is because then they would be a nuclear power and they would have a seat at the table.
Right.
And because we have been supporting people who are a nation that has been committing genocide, who has been oppressing a minority, and who have been invading other space since their inception,
Yeah.
and they would work against that. So
Right.
basically because you know for some reason, whatever
They're an
reason,
ally.
we want to, you know, venerate Israel,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. I don't even want to get into that, but that is the main motivation, and so that we have somebody to have an adversary with. You know, my big thing was like, this is not the first time we've done this with Iran. We did it last time when Trump was in office,
Right.
because last time he called them and said, or actually, I think he said it on live TV. Hey, we're gonna come bomb you tomorrow at noon.
Well,
And then they did the same thing. They were like, hey, we're gonna return fire tomorrow at 4. and nobody got hurt, and nobody got hurt this time either. So like this is just fear mongering, and I think
Yeah.
both sides benefit from it because the Arab nations, they see the infidels, invading their space, which we are. Um, we're invading their space. We're attacking a sovereign nation who is not an aggressor.
Right.
Israel's the one that started it. Then there's no provocation. Like they
Yeah.
didn't do it. Like Iran did not do anything different. You know.
Yep.
And why is that still on? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My
Squirrel.
my chameleon lights did not turn off at 8 o'clock like they're supposed to. Anyways, and again, Trump telegraphed, and this time I think he actually had a conversation with, through their intelligence channels, because like we've heard, you know, between 1 month and what, a year, their program has been set back, but
Yeah.
that's it, you know.
The shortest time I've heard was 3 months, but who really
Well,
knows? And
Iran said 1 month. Most of the nuclear watchdogs and stuff like that said 3 to 6 months. So
didn't we kill their like top scientist there though? And
we didn't.
somebody did.
Israel did with their unprovoked attack.
Oh,
So
okay.
so they and here's the thing. They did get a couple scientists, but Russia's more than happy to send more, and
Right.
they've stated so. So
Yeah.
that's kind of scary when you think about it.
Right. Yep.
Because all we did was the same thing. We got everybody in an uproar, and I think that's kind of what the point was. Hey, let's stir up some shit over here, and that'll get everybody nationalistic so that we can get this bill pushed through, because the bill was starting to falter.
Yeah. So speaking of Russia, why now? Why now? Why now is he saying and putting his foot down with Putin?
Well, he because now he's pivoting.
Yeah.
So he feels like he has to always be winning, okay?
Yep.
And now he's past this piece of shit, and people are starting to dig into it. They're starting
Right.
to see what is actually inside of it and how bad it's going to be for people. And as they start using that to build rhetoric against him, running into the midterms, he's working against it because that's who he is. He's always
Yeah.
moving on to the next drama. So
Right.
he's just using that as another drama piece again,
Yep. Yep, I do. So did you see the article from I think you even might have talked about it maybe while I was gone. I think you did actually, about the Hollywood makeup artist in the ear.
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked about that one.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah. And I just don't understand why. I mean, I get it. We can't get, a special investigator assigned from the DOJ, but there has to be some type of investigative avenue for this, because, well, I guess it is federal jurisdiction, so that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be able to find ways to investigate everything else
Yeah,
except for the things that need to be investigated.
right.
So, investigations. So he took a L today. I believe it was today. $5 million L to E. Jean Carroll. His appeal was shot down.
I didn't hear that got shot down again. You
Yeah,
mean,
earlier today it was. I don't know if it was like the state Supreme Court or the Supreme Court of held up the ruling that
Ah,
he's got to pay the 5.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, the Supreme Court, they denied even taking that up, and then they denied the DOJ from accepting that hit. So,
right.
at least he's being held accountable for something, It is rape, but do we want to acknowledge that? No, they sure as hell don't,
Nope.
It it makes me
Nope.
so angry
They
when.
like they like to act like we're acting like now that the Epstein list doesn't exist yet. Maxwell's
Yeah,
in jail because she had a list.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, there's obviously a lot going around in social circles about the list and how it doesn't exist only when it's convenient. The the only reason a person wouldn't want to release a list that could clear them of any wrongdoing is if it wouldn't, things like that. And they're seeing a lot more, embattlement in other areas too. Hegseth, it sounds like Hegseth's out of, almost out the door, um, because he's ineffective. Bondi's almost out the door. She's ineffective. Who's
Yeah,
the
but I mean,
the
we knew that was going to be, and he should have known what he was going to get out of the people that he hired. Like, you knew that these people were not qualified for this.
well, I don't think that he realizes those kinds of things. He thinks that anybody who's willing to suck on his Cheeto is
Well, yeah,
qualified. But I think that what we're seeing um is
I
that they're
guess I'm
being
saying he just
used
shouldn't be
to the
surprised.
extent that they're able to be used for,
Yeah,
when it comes to, like, so Hegseth, the whole point that he's there for is to fire the heads of, a lot of the leadership in your upper ranks,
which he did.
weed out what he can, and he did. Yeah, he got it done.
Yeah,
So his usefulness has been there. Like, they got what they wanted out of him. He was
yeah,
never going to be an effective DOD leader. We
right.
all knew that. Um, Bondi, what is her qualification as, you know, the head of the DOJ? She doesn't have it. So, and her staff has been really ineffective, but she's had a lot of support when it comes to, um um SCOTUS and a lot of lower court rulings that seem to support their position, but really all it's doing is supporting procedure.
Yeah,
It's outlining, the way that the executive branch can utilize their power, and then it's up to well, not the judicial, but the legislative branch to actually legislate and to create laws that, won't benefit, um the admin from administrating,
right, right. Yeah,
so that's frustrating when we're seeing so much of that, but it's not really their win. It's just that additional barriers need to be put in place, or additional clarifications need to be put in place so that that stuff's not happening.
yeah. Good luck with that one.
I know, especially when SCOTUS is this far gone,
Oh
you know.
yeah, yeah. So on, off, on, off.
Yeah.
Tariffs. Man, this guy cannot make up his mind. He says, "Hey, we're going to tariff everybody." Basically, then it's we're going to tariff these 20 countries, and then it's only a 90-day tariff, and then we're going to put a pause on that. Now the pause is up, and the stock market starts dropping. So those of you buy on the dip.
Yeah. Well, so one, like we talked about that earlier this week. Unfortunately, what we're seeing from the market is that it's not playing this game anymore.
No,
He's he's played this card too many times. They're calling his bluff. Um, you know, because Taco.
right.
So they already know, like, he's just kicking this ball down to try to get people to react. This is
Yeah.
this he wants to see more people react so that he can make more money, so his people can make more money, you know?
Yep. Yep. It's almost, I mean, I understand, I guess, what he's trying to do, because by doing this, he has brought in, I think to date, it was like just under $800 billion from it. But at what cost to us? Because tariffs are essentially another tax.
Right.
And I did see that it was on the local news, I think, that the charge to us as the consumer for the tariff we will actually start seeing come August.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, they were talking about 6 months for most price hikes to hit. You know, some of these tariffs are in place, but we won't see the full effect until the end user is charged. So, you know, when
right,
because God, so copper was one thing that I saw this week.
yeah,
Copper's up what, like 150% or something like that, and it's only going to get worse for Americans.
right,
Right now, the rest of the world's paying like, what was it, $10,000 for what, like a ton, and then so the rest of the world's paying 10,000, we're paying 15. So, and that's so much of our inner components. Now we're walking away from that in like our plumbing and whatnot, but we could see a resurgence in a pushback for that because of the science surrounding microplastics and stuff that we're seeing. And PEX
right,
tubing is plastic.
yep,
Anyways, yeah, we're starting to see a lot of market shift in areas like that, in raw goods, in materials, in those types of things. But we won't start seeing um, a lot of that in our actual products until it all gets fleshed out
yeah,
and it walks down the line.
yeah. And I mean, with this round of tariffs too, he added 20 new countries.
Yeah.
So like
Well, and
it's like he's just
weren't
closing
a
his
lot of
eye and
those.
throwing a dart at the map and saying, "Yep,
Yeah.
taxing you."
Yeah. Yeah. So
Quite
so and
comical.
and I think it has to do with, who's talking about him, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
I heard England's talking about me. Let's put a tax on peas.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just
So,
childish. Like, but I mean, we knew that that's how
yeah,
he
yeah. I
is. So
mean, none of this is really news, but
right.
seeing how it's exhibiting itself in our everyday lives
Yeah.
is important. And like I want to highlight the fact that we're still not seeing the full effect of what the immigration issue is going to have on our on food and things like that, because we're just now getting into the full harvesting season.
Yeah.
And so we're not seeing the fantastic prices on, berries and things like that we normally see this time of year. And come corn harvest, come oranges harvest, or orange or apple peach harvest, those things I think are going to start showing themselves. God knows my orange juice is just not going down in price. So, and I drink orange juice like most people drink milk because
Yeah.
lactose intolerant. So,
Right.
so I'm spending 7.50 on a gallon, where, where people that are buying milk are spending 3.50, which is still expensive.
It is
And this
expensive.
is also Midwest pricing. So for
Right.
anybody on the coast and whatnot, I'm sorry, I feel for you. Um,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I guess that kind of segues into conversations that I've had with some conservatives this week. Um, Talked with a guy, my son just belted up at a ninja camp. He took 2 belt tests this week, and I was talking with a dad of another boy who's been doing it for about 9 months, and he's conservative, and we were talking about the ability for people to agree to disagree,
Yeah,
and the fact that it does require that it means that both sides aren't supporting things that hurt people, you know. So there
right.
are qualifiers, and but that when it comes to discussions about policy and things like that, those things should happen with respect and with a tone that denotes that respect for somebody that we care about. We should care more about people than we do about our own opinion. And
Yes.
and if we can't take that into the world, then we should shut our mouths, no matter which side of the aisle we're on. But one of the things that we were talking about was, um, as we grew up, we left and we made a decision to come back to where we live now, and that when we did that, we came back with an appreciation for what the rest of the country, what the rest of the world has to offer, but also recognizing what this place does offer. And, and myself as a real estate agent, I have to talk often about, why move to this area of the country. And the first thing that any agent will say is, can you say it? Do you know what it is?
How affordable it is here.
No, not quite, but that's number 2. Nope. The first thing any agent will say, it's a great place to raise a family.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and Fort Wayne always scores high
right.
in that and in cost of living. Although we are number 4 in the country in the rental market.
Yes, that's
Right.
because of private equity moving in and raising rent prices,
Oh yeah.
which is what has caused a skyrocketing um in appreciation. Luckily we haven't skyrocketed outside of our value like other places in the country,
Right.
but we are at the top of value. And now what we're starting to see is um, I've actually been noticing this week with homes that I'm showing is I'm starting to see some international or some national brokerages that are starting to advertise a lot of private equity sell-off.
Mm,
So these private equity firms are recognizing that the homes that they bought at the bottom of the market are now at the top.
right.
And so we will start to see a slight depreciation from the top of where our market sits. And this is nationwide. This is not anything that is specific to this market, but is highlighted by this market because of the affordability that we were just talking about.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's one thing that's helping probably yourself, and I know myself being
Yeah.
in the mortgage industry as well, as far
Yes.
as our jobs have stayed steady, if not busier than ever, is because
Yeah.
of how much it costs to rent a place. People are saying, "Oh, I can go rent this place for that much, but for $100 more, I could own a home
Well, and the
that's
conversation
bigger
is
than the
even
apartment."
sharper right now because of the fact that interest rates haven't moved, which I think that that's one thing that we'll start to see a pivot towards. The Fed has already mentioned that they're thinking about moving the
At the
needle
end of this
on,
year,
huh?
the end of this year,
Yeah, the end of this
because
year.
they're holding steady because the R word is still looming.
Oh yeah, I mean the indicators are all still there.
Yeah.
But I think what they're waiting on is the market to start to weaken, because there is so much volatility right now. They don't want to make a move that will shoot it in any one direction and
Right.
cause it to unbalance even more.
Yeah.
So
And holy cow, what an egregious idea of let's cut it by 3 points. Like, so you want to cut it almost in half.
yeah, Yeah, that's not.
Like, holy tailspin.
Yeah, yeah, that's.
It was just an asinine thought.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean we've seen a lot of those lately. So
I mean, because I think the most they've ever cut it was 3/4 of a point. They did it one time. Any other time other than that, it's a half a point to a quarter of a point.
yeah.
So it's like he just pulls numbers out of his ass and
Oh yeah, well, yeah,
throws it
absolutely.
up against the wall and says,
That's funny.
"Whatever one sticks is what we're going with."
I also talking about numbers out of his ass. I just looked over and and I saw that Bondi attributed to Trump that 258 million lives have been saved through Trump's discussion about fentanyl overdoses.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
means 2/3 of the country have been saved by President Trump's visionary response to the fentanyl crisis.
He probably told them to drink bleach too, huh?
Well, I bet. Yeah, that'll save them.
Jesus.
Yeah, but that just fell right into your discussion or your comment about pulling numbers out of his ass. Like I think that if the Fed were to cut, um, you know, 0.5%, I think that might be stimulating for you know what we're going to suffer from because of Trump's tariffs. Um, but I think that we do need to see some stabilization in, the rhetoric from the executive branch before I'm comfortable with seeing that, happen
Yeah.
because it could very easily be, a runaway economy like he instigated last time, and then we hit that brick wall, and
Yep.
suddenly, our economy's in the toilet,
Yeah.
and
I mean, because
and we kill the world economy.
yeah. I mean, because I mean, a half a point, man. I mean, you talk about a refi boom.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess
Well, I
I guess
mean,
we'll
just think of
see
all the people that bought a home or
at
refied for
7.
various reasons the last couple of years at
Yeah. At 7%.
7.5,
Sure.
8.
Well,
A
I don't
third.
I don't know I don't know too many that hit at 8. I mean that we were I think 7.5 was the highest I really saw. How many did you see at 8? You
I
were
mean, a
you were
couple when I was at former employer, but
right,
I was
right.
also doing the higher risk loans there. So maybe,
Exactly. Yeah. So
and that
those
was
should
only
be
for like a
refined.
couple of days that I saw 8.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
So,
mean, like, yeah, between 7.5,
yeah, there was a lot of that.
we'd see a lot of refis, and that would be good. That would be good for the financial economy.
Yep.
But really, like I keep saying, in real estate, most experts say that we want to see a 5.5% interest rate that is stable.
Yeah. Yeah.
That,
5.5. I've always been told by loan officer, like head loan officers
yeah,
that manage the departments and look at the analytics of all that. That 5.5 indicates a stable economy,
yep.
and that's typically 5 to 5.5 is typically your 30-year average.
Right. Yes. So I think 5.75 is the average interest rate for since we've been tracking for mortgages for the 30-year mortgage.
Okay.
So that's where we see and based on what we see over time at major financial points in history, the 5.5% interest rate has always been an upward trend that isn't too steep that we see a large decline from afterwards.
Right. Right.
So
Yep.
um, it's usually fiscal policy like the BBB that ends up throwing a wrench into stable economic fiscal policy, but
Yeah.
that also goes into what we've been talking about recently with the lack of the legislative branch being able to get their shit together enough to actually pass a budget.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
So I did hear something on the radio this morning that was kind of shocking and a little bit ironic, that I was at a red light next to a gas station and that it was under $3. It was actually $2.95. And then the radio people come on and are reading this article that the overall gas price for the country average is at the lowest it has been in 3 years.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. That doesn't equate for our region.
No, because I can tell you, driving from here to the Dells and back, gas prices are all over the place. But I know when we were in Chicago for the game, they were at almost $4, and I know that out in Cali it was $5.49.
Yeah, and I saw 320 when I was down in Indy. And now I did get a steal. Earnify had a deal going on for Amazon subscribers where you could get $1 off a gallon over just past from July 5th through the 8th, I think, or something like that. So I got $1 off a gallon. That was freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't have that information last week when we had this. Otherwise, I would pass it along. But all right, well, I think that we're at the tail end of our discussion for this evening. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. And I appreciate you guys coming in. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, please. Give us your feedback, and find us on Facebook, Twitter, or on Instagram, and tell us what you want to hear about.
Absolutely. You guys have a good week.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Take care.